Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Tracy Turnberg, and I want to welcome you back to Leaders Chat Live. Crazy excited about today's guest. Today's guest is a guy that has got a story that I believe can help absolutely anybody and everybody become successful right out of the gate. The lessons that he's learned in his career. And the biggest one is, I tell you what, it's going to blow you away. Now, if you're brand new with us, Leaders Chat Live, we're here just to talk to leaders, to inspire, share stories. We don't really know where the conversation is going to go. I mean, obviously we know each other, we know stories, but we don't know what's going to happen, what golden nugget's going to be dropped and when it's going to be dropped. But if you want to chat or type chat in the comments below, you're going to be added to our Leaders Chat bot, which is going to help notify you of when we go live so you don't miss a single chat. So make sure if you want to go ahead and do that, type in chat, you're going to be able to be part of that list. So without further ado, my guest today is a good friend of mine from Utah. His name is Mr. Greg Tedrow, and has got an absolutely fantastic story. Greg, welcome to Leaders Chat Live.
Wow, Tracy, that was it's pretty intimidating introduction you got for me there.
Should I go back and do it again?
No, don't do it again. You'd probably make it even more awkward. So,
hey, thanks for joining today, man. I love it. I appreciate you taking the time out. I know you got tons of crazy stuff going on in your backyard, and I appreciate you taking time for us.
No, hey, I'm happy to. This is really cool. I love talking with you anyway. So this time we're just going to get it recorded, I guess.
Yeah. So then we can go back and say that you lied or you didn't lie when I say Packers are better than the Chargers.
Oh man! Well, you picked up our quarterback from Utah State, though. So I might have to secretly start liking the Packers now. So I don't know.
So here's the deal that people have been asking me. What's the deal? Listen, we drafted Aaron Rodgers back when we had Brett Favre. So it's
right.
Like you go. Yeah. I mean, and this is a leadership thing, right? I mean, sometimes as leaders, you look at it and you go, fix the immediate, this way. But what's the long-term vision? And the Packers had the long-term vision back then. They believed they had their guy with Aaron Rodgers. And we had Brett Favre, right? Top of his game. And now we picked this guy, Jordan Love, that nobody knew Rodgers either. But, I mean, Jordan Love going to be, I don't know. But I can't really get mad about that pick because it's like, man, when you're looking to the future in leadership of a franchise, man, to me, that's, I got to leave that to people that are smarter than me to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, sadly, the Packers kind of know what they're doing when it comes to that, a lot more so than my team. But, we'll just leave that one there.
We'll leave that. This isn't about football. So, Greg, once again, I appreciate you joining us. If you could do something for me, I think the people that are watching Leaders Chat Live really want to hear your story. Now, I really think our stories parallel a lot. We're both good-looking guys. Well, one of us is. And, but I was introduced to network marketing, by my uncle, and you were introduced to networking by your uncle.
Correct.
We were both really young when we started. Didn't really have a lot of business experience or business acumen or whatever. You decided to go off and do your business in a totally new way, and I'll let you share that. Where I stayed more closer to home, if you will. But your story, I tell you what, inspires thousands of people, gets them to dream bigger, gets them to think outside the box. And I just absolutely love that. So would you just take a moment, Greg, and just share your story of how you got started in kind of some of the steps that you did and what you felt like at the time?
Yeah. So this goes back about, 20 years ago. And it's funny because I've been in this industry for 20 years, but nobody really wants to hear about the last 19 years. They want to hear about the first year, and that isn't really that surprising to me. But the way it started for me was I had goals in life from when I started college, and I wanted to be in I wanted to be in finance and banking because I had an uncle, a different uncle that was in that industry, and I was studying really hard and going through school. I got a job at a local network marketing company, and I did support on the phone part time speaking Japanese, and so I kind of got introduced to the concept of network marketing right around the age of 21, 22, and I learned about it. I didn't love it at first, but I didn't know much about it, and I had I speak Japanese, and so I was able to work directly with Japanese people who are in the network marketing industry, and I had as you were saying, my uncle, who I was very close with, was in the network marketing industry and has been his whole entire life. He called me up one day while I was working, and he said, "Hey, go into your computer and check out so and so's group and his income." And I didn't, I had access to that stuff, and so I go in and I look, and my eyes almost popped out of my head. I didn't realize an income like that could be earned in network marketing. I thought that was, I worked at this company, but I didn't really know what I was dealing with. And then he said, "Okay, look where all that volume and all that income is coming from." And it was mostly from Japan. And he said, "I want you, as soon as you graduate from school, I want you to go to Japan and start this new company that that I'm getting involved with." And so that's where it all started for me. And, I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I thought in my mind, and I had people supporting me. There were people very much against the idea of going to do a network marketing business right out of college after graduating. I got a degree in economics, and I thought, okay, well, I'll go do this for maybe a year, earn a little money, come back, and then get a real job. Is honestly what my dad told me to do, is whatever, what my peers were telling me. I just had, I don't know how else to explain it, but I had this feeling that what I was doing was really cool and was really worth it, but I just didn't know what I was doing or what I had. And so what ended up happening was I ended up going to Japan with a buddy of mine that I knew from school. And then I met one of my closest friends today. My sponsor is a Japanese guy named Katsu Sasaki. He let us move into his one-bedroom apartment and sleep on his floor for a few months. And we sat in that apartment and we talked for hours and hours. We stayed up all, late hours of night. We were out talking to people. We had a vision of what we wanted to accomplish. And at that age, we just didn't have enough life experience to know that there was no way we were supposed to be able to be successful in what we were doing. It just can't be done. We didn't care. And so we worked 80-hour days or weeks. I mean, we didn't stop. All we did was talk to people and we just knew what we had. And I apologize for being so general because I don't want it to be company specific, but we had this great idea, this great compensation concept that just lit a fire under us. We couldn't stop. We wouldn't stop. We wouldn't be deterred. And so after about 2 months of that and working that many hours, we weren't seeing any success. And we all kind of looked at each other and thought, okay, what are we doing here? Are we doing this right? Are we crazy? And my sponsor committed me to doing it another, month or two. And he wanted me to commit for a full year. I wasn't sure about that, but I did commit. And then something broke. We started meeting some people that started to take interest in what we were doing, and it just exploded. And so I don't know. I'm not doing a very good job at I don't know if I'm doing a good job at expressing how hard it was, but it was incredibly hard. But it was incredibly, I I don't know how else to describe that moment when things started to break. I mean, it was the coolest thing I have
So
ever seen and experienced in my life.
before we get to that, Greg,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you and I were both young when we started this industry, which is not typical for people to wake up to network marketing when they're in their 20s, right? It's older people that kind of say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of the rat race. Let's do something different. I think the younger group is getting there, but in the very beginning, and you kind of talked about a little bit. I know I was scared to death to talk to anybody because like you said, no life experience. I had zero credibility. But what was it? What was that? I mean, what was that fear like? I mean, did you have that fear like I did, where you're just like, man, you're stumbling over your words. You're just like,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
even people today still, even though network marketing is much more prevalent today, because online companies and information, the flow of information, is so much faster. I mean, when you first went to Japan and you're sitting there, and you're talking to Katsuki, and you're sitting there having those conversations. I mean, what fears were in your head that you're like, I have to overcome these obstacles to become a success?
The fears were, well, there were all kinds of fears, but the thing that I was most afraid of was making the opportunity, or not presenting the opportunity in a way that was compelling, or fumbling over my words and making a fool of myself. It got to the point, though, after about month one, where I tuned it all out, and I realized that the more I talk about things, the more I got I found my groove, or I found my lane in where I felt comfortable talking, and I got better and better and better. And the fear was always there, but I overcame it, and I didn't care if I got rejected. I got rejected hundreds of times a day some days, where we would go on trains, and we had our business cards, and we would go through and try to get these Japanese businessmen and younger, guys that were our age to exchange business cards with us. And that's something in Japan that's a little easier to do than in the US. But we would get stacks and stacks of business cards, and then we'd make calls in the evening, and almost everyone would hang up, and, some would get angry, others would be nice to us, but wouldn't ever meet with us. And we went through hundreds and thousands of people over the months. But in doing so, we were really honing in our message, honing in our what works, what doesn't work. We were learning to read people, learning to listen. I mean, those first months were brutal, but I was too young to know any different. I didn't care. I just ignored the fear. So I had to keep going. I just kept going.
So what you're telling me, and I think the people that are watching here, is I think the perception sometimes of network marketing. This is I love our industry, but one of the frustrating things about network marketing is I think people think it should be an overnight success. It's just you join, boom, it happens. Akin to the lottery ticket kind of mentality. It wasn't easy. You failed a lot. You had to take moments of just a mental stock of, I got to improve myself, right?
Right.
And then you finally figure out your place. You find your story, and then you're like, now you start clipping along, right? And so I think in network marketing, I think people tend to think that, you join a thing and it didn't work, but you don't become a doctor overnight. You don't become an accountant overnight. You don't become a plumber overnight. I mean, there's apprenticeship periods. And in network marketing, that can definitely be a week or 2 weeks or 2 months to success. And some people it takes a lot longer, right? Because everyone's got different ability to adapt to situations. And I know you struggle with that just like I did. But you were 5,000-6,000 miles from home doing all of this, which I think is part of the story that's like so incredible that you took that leap of faith I got to be honest, Greg. I didn't take that leap of faith. I was dipping a toe in. I put my feet
No,
in.
man,
You
it was stupid.
you didn't
Looking
just
back, I can't believe I did it. I was
you
dead.
didn't jump in,
And
dude.
credit card,
You cannonballed into the deep end, right?
yeah,
I don't even know
yeah.
how to swim, but I'm going in. I mean, your leap of faith is. I don't know anyone that's got a better leap of faith story than yours. Going to Japan. Not you had a few people that you knew, obviously, but you didn't really know people, right?
No, I mean, we knew a few people. The people I did know, I mean, network marketing has its connotations around the world, and a lot those that don't understand network marketing fear it. And I was told by people that I did know, hey, do you realize what you're involved in? It's
Yeah.
like one of these moments where it's like, hey, I need to help this guy get out of this thing, and I'm just like, no, you don't understand, and I got them to calm down, but every single person that I knew rejected me. I thought, oh, well, at least I'll get these guys, but no, they rejected us. There were people that I had through my previous work that did show interest, that did give me, incentive to go to Japan. At least we had conversations with those people, but like I was saying, I mean, nobody jumped right in at the beginning. It took so much time to even get that first sign up. It was hard, but we just, we were going to give it 3 months, 1,000% guarantee. Like, we didn't care. 3 months, and it was, if at 3 months it didn't work at all, maybe that's when we, go back home and start paying off credit cards, or whatever. It happened. I don't know. It just, the more I got rejected, it became I became more determined, because I knew I knew the concept is sound. I studied economics, and I love the idea of being compensated for my work, and being responsible for my own income, and being responsible for, training my own team. And all of the benefit for all of the work that I'm doing is up to me, and I get rewarded for it. I don't have a boss sitting there saying, well, so and so is working twice as hard as this other guy, but we're going to pay him the same. That idea doesn't exist in network marketing,
Yeah.
and I love that.
Yeah, that doesn't compute with me at all. I just don't understand that concept of, like, I would want to be compensated for my efforts, and not just
Right.
for same as everybody else.
Right.
One of the things, in the beginning, you do a lot that you don't get paid for.
That's true.
In the end, like right now, we're both being paid for a lot that we don't do because of the basic, how residual income works. And but man, I tell you, in the beginning, sometimes it's tough, man. I mean,
It's tough, but man, I look at it like, I wasn't getting paid, but holy cow, the personal development I experienced those 3 months is, I don't think I've accelerated. I don't think I learned that much in that short period of time than any other time in my life. Those 3 months were like boot camp, and it was. I wouldn't trade those months. Even, I can honestly say, even if it didn't work, that was good for me. It was a good time for me. And so, I mean, I overcame fears. I gained confidence. I learned how to speak better Japanese, so that was cool too.
Yeah.
But network marketing is fantastic, because if it's such a myopic look to say, look, oh, I didn't earn any money. Well, okay, but there's so much more to network marketing that you can draw from. I mean, if it's not working, if it's really not working for you, then maybe it's not your thing. But there's so much more to it.
Yeah. So when you started to see that success, Greg,
yeah,
for me, I know when I started to see it, I had a little bit of a shift of my mindset, right? I mean, I was scrappy. I was just fighting to try to make ends meet. And then all of a sudden you start to get and all of a sudden it's like you click a little bit, right, in the mindset. What was that like for you in Japan when things started to click? Did you have a mindset shift as well?
Oh, it was, the validation factor of that was, I can't even describe it. It's like, oh, we were right. We were right. It just started working, and the mindset shift was, Yeah, I don't know if it was so much a shift because we kind of believed it was gonna work anyway, but to get it to actually go and the validation that came from that, it was amazing. It was great. Yeah, I mean, I think I got a little overconfident. I think we all did. We all kind of felt like we cracked the code, which to a certain extent we did, but that code is a moving target, and so we did it at that time. But it's not like you can do it every, like we had it mastered from that point forward. What we did know is that hard work is a key part of cracking that code, and so. But as far as a mindset shift, it was just validation of what I already believed.
Yeah. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Because I've always believed in network marketing. I mean, I remember that, dude. I remember I used to take my paltry little network marketing check of like $1,000 to the bank, and which listen, when you're 22, 23 years old, making $1,000 residual while you're working part-time jobs and stuff, that's a nice little check, right? I was in college, so it's like that was like serious money, right?
That's good money in college. Yeah,
I mean, it's like it was great, right? But then I'd take it to the bank with my sponsor's check, Dale Maloney, and hey, check would come in, be a big day, right? And I'm sitting here looking at my check of $1,000. I'm looking at his check of $120,000 or the biggest check I ever took to the bank for him was $184,000, and I'm like. You have this aha moment. It's like people don't even know how to spend $180,000 a year, let alone in a single month. I mean, Dale did find a way to do it, but you just sit back and you go, "Oh my goodness!" It's like this industry has got so much potential, so much power, and so my mindset was always there. But like you said, the validation, like you weren't crazy. Like network marketing, home-based business, direct sales, I don't care what you want to call it, is a valid business model. And, because you get the naysayers, right? What was the craziest thing that someone told you when they said no? Can you remember the craziest thing?
Oh, you know what? Let me think of it. Here's a crazy thing. So you talking about Dale's check got me thinking, and so when I was in Japan, my distributorship was in the U.S., and so as I was in, getting these little $20 checks or what, in the very beginning, I asked my mom to kind of be my secretary. I said, "Mom, I'll pay you to go deposit these checks for me." And those checks started going up, after about month 3, they started getting really, really big. And my mom called, and she's raised on a farm. We were raised very humbly. And, she called me so concerned. She's like, "What are you doing out there?"
What are you selling?
What are you doing? Selling drugs? What's going on? And I was like, "No, Mom, it's all good. It's legal. I promise." She could not believe how big those checks were getting and how quickly they grew. But yeah, that was probably the funniest thing anyone ever said to me was my mom thinking me, doing my network marketing business was somehow illegal because the checks were just too big.
And you're like, because she knows who you are. She knows how, your tendencies. And she's like, "How are you doing this?" Right.
You're right. Exactly.
And that's one of the things I love about network marketing and is it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your education level. It doesn't matter your profession. It doesn't matter, your demographic, your race, your religion, where you live. If you have a desire to succeed, like you and John did, saying, "Listen, we're going to pick up. We're going to go Japan, not knowing what the heck's going to happen, and try to figure this thing out." Man, I tell you, anybody can be success if you know why you're doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. We have one of the most satisfying things I experience in my experience over the 20 years is seeing the people that are in my, those that I worked with, how successful they've become. And I got to see them kind of from maybe the perspective my uncle had of me, but I see them come in, we sit down, we talk, they'd start from nothing, and now their checks are bigger than mine. I mean, it's fantastic to see, and there are people there that just powered themselves to it by pure just willpower. They didn't have any particular set of amazing skills. They didn't have the most perfect presentation. They didn't have the most perfect, they weren't models. They weren't, they didn't have all these obvious external attributes that are, oh yeah, that guy's gonna kill it. You just never know. It's all willpower and grit that gets you there.
Yeah, and I find it's surprising who actually goes and builds. The guy that you think should, a lot of the times, isn't the guy that actually does it. It's the person that you think, and we always say don't prejudge people, but, I mean, you kind of always kind of make that, you're like, I just don't know. But I tell you what, when you have that grit and determination to be successful, I think that's the number one component of a successful network marketer is, we talked about it with Barry in episode 1, the why. When you understand the why and why you want to do this industry, and if you got some determination behind it, anything's possible. I don't know if you're watching the Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary.
So yeah, I started it.
Yeah, I tell you, it is. Man, you want to get into the mindset of somebody that was determined and had dedication and just wanted to crush you. Michael Jordan is the epitome of that. I'm a huge Jordan geek, and I consume everything that he's always done. And I mean, the stories that you hear about a guy that's like, listen, I was too small to play. I wasn't good enough. I didn't play defense. All the different aspects, and that's the same way that we all should be attacking our businesses. Is listen, I'm really bad at this avenue of the business, whether it's attitude, leadership, prospecting. I don't care what the skill is. You need to improve that over time. You don't need to become an overnight success. But man, if you're not working on yourself to make yourself a better version of you, man, I tell you what, you are dropping the ball. And you are not living your best. You're not becoming the best version of yourself. And I really want Leaders Chat Live, this platform, to not necessarily build our organizations in a sense of volume. Okay. I mean, that is the quantifiable measurement that we all go by on a month-to-month basis, and it needs to do that. However, I want this platform to ultimately be, if we can make people a better school teacher, a better husband, a better, accountant, because we're giving them skills and we're teaching and inspiring stories of overcoming and how we interact with people, man, we did our job. If we can help leaders become better leaders, that's not a quantifiable thing in sales numbers, but I tell you what, it's one of the foundational building stones of being successful in network marketing.
Absolutely. And that's what gets me up in the morning. I get up every morning excited about how can I improve today? What can I work on today? There's I can't remember who said this, but the more it's the old adage: the more you know you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's it's a never ending process, and I love it. That's just in me. I wake up in the morning excited to go. Like, what am I going to go for today? What can I get better at today? It drives me.
Yeah. And I think, some people, going back to the Jordan thing, it was really interesting. There was a period, and I love this. I mean, I just consume anything Jordan on ESPN or whatever right now. These stories are coming out are just phenomenal. But there was a time when he got really kind of lackadaisical and the team was suffering. And he went into Coach Phil Jackson and said, listen, I've been really complacent. And he went back and got to work. And as soon as he went back and got to work, what happened? Team started winning again. I mean, the energy picked up. I mean, just the whole thing happened. And I think people tend to we all tend to plateau. It's human nature, right? To plateau. And I don't care if it's at, the entry level pin title of your business, if it's the pinnacle or whatever, you kind of go, I arrived. And the leaders that are the greats never arrive.
Right.
And if you can put your mindset into, I've never arrived, I'm not perfect, I need to learn, and you can learn from anybody. And that's what I love about network marketing. I mean, I mean, how many people do you talk to a day? You're like, listen, I never in my life have talked to a sheep farmer from Wyoming, and he taught me something about leadership or work, or just the process of being successful. And so to me, like you said, waking up every day and having those conversations just makes you better every single day. So getting back to your story, Greg, you're still in your journey, right? I mean, the journey's not over. You started. I mean, you've had how long have you been building in Japan now? Is it
20 years.
20 years.
20 years.
So you look at that and you go, 20 years of a journey, which I mean, in network marketing industry, man, that is not a commonplace story.
No.
That is not a commonplace story. Most people are like, well, I was here for 2 years. I was here for, then I went to this company, that company. I was talking to a buddy the other day. Been in 16 companies since I've been with the one that I'm with right now.
Wow.
18 years. He's been with 16 companies. And you know what? That is not uncommon.
That's probably more common. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for you to have your journey be still 20 years in, do you feel right now that it's over, or are you still taking that next step up?
So first of all, 20 years, I think partly is we picked the right company. There's a lot of good companies out there, but we picked the right company to put all of our energy into those first couple of years. But as far as I think I mentioned earlier that this industry is kind of like a moving target. So what worked 20 years ago for us strategically may not necessarily work today. And so it's never ending. There's always a retooling, refining, it's never ending. So my drive that I have right now is to crack the code again and make it go like it did back 20 years ago. I have distractions now in my life, Tracy. I mean, back in those days, I was single. I didn't have any kids. Now I have a wife and kids and a family. And I don't think I can put in the 80 hours a week that I did before, but that's drive is still in me. And I will never, I get up every morning loving this business. And so that'll never change. So I don't know. I might have gone off topic. What was the question again, Tracy?
I know
Steer me back.
You lost me. You lost me when you said your wife was a distraction. So I'm trying to figure out how to bail you out of that comment, saying,
my dang wife, she just distracts the heck out of me from just about everything. So what can I say? It's not a bad thing, right?
You did. You totally lost me. I started laughing at myself. He just said his wife is a distraction.
I'm gonna wait for her to come in and start. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out later.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like things change, right? I mean, goals change. I mean, we evolve, we grow as people. What was important when we're 20 is not important when we're 40. Not right. Maybe it is. Maybe everyone's different, but I mean, things grow. I mean, when I first started, man, it was all about success and money and all that. Now it's like, I got 3 kids, and in a family that I just adore, and spending time with them and watching them grow. I mean, my priorities definitely have shifted. And that's what I love about network marketing is, man, it gave me the ability, Greg, to do those things. And to let it shift because of the power of what this industry really is. And I know just personally from being buds that is a thing that you've been able to do as well. And, you work when you want to work and when you have to work, but man, it's something important happens, you're able to do what you need to do.
Time, one of the misnomers of network marketing, I think, is this idea of time freedom. And I don't know. I mean, this is just one of my little pet peeves. But as far as freedom goes, I would prefer say time flexibility, because to run your own network marketing business really isn't so much different than running any other. It takes all of your time. There's never enough time in a day. in the day to work my business, but I do get to choose when. That right there is so incredibly golden. I don't know how I'm so spoiled. I don't know how I would survive otherwise, because I want to coach. I can, okay, this block of these hours during the day, I'm coaching, and I don't have a boss to call and tell me, no, you can't, you got to come in. I get to coach,
Yeah.
but then I got to come home and work till about 11 at night. But, but I get to choose. There's nothing for me anyway. The money's great. The money's fantastic, but the flexibility on time is by far the most valuable thing I get from this this crazy venture I started 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm in the same way. I like to say, network marketing, financial freedom and time freedom simply is defined to me as being where you want to be when you need to be there. And that's it. And we're not talking beaches and planes, all. And that's great if that's your jam. But to me, it's being where you need to be when you want to be there. And,
right.
and that time flexibility is a great way to say it. That's just a powerful benefit of building this business. And, a lot of people, like you said, they think network marketing is just a thing. This is if you really understood this industry, it's a powerful industry. But you're literally, and I don't want to scare people, but you are, if you want to be a leader in this industry, this is your business.
Yeah.
There's business stuff that you need to do. You need to treat it like a business. And we both shared this. If you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, it'll pay you like a business. And, just understanding the difference. And maybe it's a fine line, but understanding the difference between those two things is absolutely one of the biggest things in network marketing as far as your success plan is. Listen, I don't care. You can not make calls because you're your own boss. You can not do the activity because you're your own boss.
Yeah.
But if you're the hardest boss you ever had, and you're hard on yourself and saying, listen, I've got to make 10 calls today. I got to make 20 calls today. I'm going to go to Japan not knowing anybody, and go over there and do something that kind of is new and is fresh to me. Yeah. A lot of people think that's a bonkers story, man. But it really is. It's like, seriously, wow, that's crazy. The timing was perfect.
No one told us we weren't supposed to be able to do that, Tracy. Nobody told us, hey, you can't go to Japan and build it. No way. Yeah. You can't do that. No one told us that. Like, we didn't know any better.
And you just go, okay, let's go. And yeah, sounds fun. Let's go, John.
Yeah.
And so for me, taking that massive immediate action, Greg, you went over to Japan, and you basically just jumped in, you cannonballed into the end, and you just went to work, right?
Right.
You didn't take time off. You didn't. It was the only thing that you were doing, right? You weren't working a part-time job or anything like that. So you were just forced to go work.
No, we weren't there to vacation. We were there specifically to work, and we we were lucky. There were some really favorable things that lined up for us. I got to go with a good friend, John, and I have been buddies. We were in school together. We were on a service mission together, and I had a ton of respect for him. And that guy drove me like no one. Like, that guy works harder than anyone I know. And so it was really helpful to have a couple of business-minded friends that I was working with. And if I were to say anything, as far as what was one of the major, contributing to my success, was I had good people around me, people that drove me, people that I liked. I liked working with John. My sponsor is one of the coolest guys anyone could ever know. He's just awesome. And I enjoyed the relationships with them, and it made the work way not easier, because it was hard. It's really hard, but it was I don't know. It just helped me keep going.
Yeah.
And so we drove each other, and so that massive action. If I was alone, I don't know if I could have done it. I don't know if I could have done it all by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we talk about it all the time. What made this happen? And there were a lot of moving parts. But for me, it was working with a group of people that I really liked and that were same had the same mind that I did. And I mean, we were, yeah. I mean, we were going to drop a, you know, anyway. So we were just going to work hard, and that was our massive action. We just were going to do it.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a different conversation, but it literally, finding a running buddy,
Yeah,
having a running buddy, you don't have to be like two enormous leaders or anything. You just need someone, and it comes down to accountability and all those things. But having a running buddy that when they're having a good day, they pick you up, and when you're having a good day, you pick them up. Because
yeah,
I tell you what, the reality of this business is sometimes from the outside looking in, it's all roses, it's all fun, it's all it's just the reality is we all have really bad days and or bad moments. Maybe it's just an hour, but to be able to pick up the phone and call and say, "Hey, Greg, dude." And you're like, dude, it's gonna be okay. We'll get it tomorrow. We'll get it tonight
yeah,
or whatever. Those moments in the relationship that's built, we all sell products, we all sell services, whatever industry we're in, but we're in the people business, in the
yeah.
relationship business, and when you build relationships and leaderships and things like that, it doesn't matter what you're selling. You're having fun. The journey, it's not the destination, it's the journey that's the joy, right?
Absolutely. Oh
And
yeah,
and
yeah.
people that just make it to the top without having to go through the journey don't appreciate being at the top. And
Right.
it's the
Yeah.
journey, it's the learning, it's all the bumps and all the deals that we have to deal with to make that happen. And I think I don't know, for me it's I can look back and I could talk days and share stories um, with journey kind of stuff and moments that really impacted my life. And for me, one of them was when I first understood in my first company. Man, I would dip my toe in, and I'm like, yeah, not for me. And then I come back, and then I dip my my foot in. I get a little bit deeper, and then when we joined where we're at now, I jumped all in, man. I mean, because I
Yeah.
could see it. It was something that was so different, and so the just the story just caught my heart and in my vision, and I just jumped in, and at that moment, that's when I understood about going all in,
Yeah.
and to be successful at this. I mean, you're going to sacrifice. I mean, you're going to sacrifice. I mean, think about the things that you gave up. Like you said, you didn't go to Japan to take a vacation. That doesn't mean
Right.
that you didn't go out to eat or you didn't spend a Saturday afternoon at the beach or at some sightseeing or whatever. But I mean, you just jump in and you go to work. You sacrifice time and TV and movies or whatever because you're fixated on the goal, the end.
Yeah.
You want to better
Hmm.
yourself. And so, Greg, I could talk to you probably for like 6 hours and just keep going. We're gonna get you back on now. People
Yeah.
that are people that are watching,
Yeah.
make sure if you want to get notified of all the chats that we're doing, type in chat in the comments, and the Leaders Chat bot should get back to you right away and let you know what you need to do. Okay, so go ahead and type in chat if you want to be on the list. But Greg, as we close here and kind of bring this thing to an end, what would be the two biggest takeaways that the people that are watching and listening to the chat today, what would that wisdom be that you would part to them? Give a top two or three things that dealing with your story would be.
Um, I feel like we've talked a lot about going all in and how hard the work is, and I can say, and I say this, and I've thought about this for many years, but I look back at those months in the beginning where we were just hitting our heads against the wall, and it was really hard. But even if we hadn't have made it, I know we were going to make some money, but even if we hadn't gone as big as we did, that would have been totally worth it. And I think the reason why it was worth it regardless for me was that I was all in, and I believed so strongly that what we were doing was worth it, and that it was not only a valuable thing for those that we were going to associate with, but it was a valuable thing for me as far as personal growth went. So it's, if I could say, I don't know how to instill that in anyone else. I just knew that was what was in me, that I knew what I was doing. It was worth it. And I didn't care if I was super successful or just, I knew I was going to be successful to an extent because I was just working too hard not to. So that would be one thing. I don't know. What would be another thing? Timing's important. It may not be the time to do that. It may be, for me, the timing was favorable because I was just graduating from school. I wasn't particularly interested in doing anything else at that time in my life other than playing. So it was the right time for me to go all in. So I wouldn't be overly frustrated if maybe right now isn't your time to do it. You can still go all in as much as you can, but just realize that to build a long-term sustainable income in any business is going to require a heck of a lot of work and a heck of a lot of time. So, but it's worth it. I don't know. How's that, Tracy?
I think that's great, Craig. I mean, all in and timing. I mean, obviously, the big thing is if you want to build your business, I don't care where you're at or who you're with, you need to do as much as you can do. If that means, the big thing, and I think we talked about it earlier, is consistency.
Yeah,
and when you go all in, and listen, this business is a marathon. You don't come out of the gate sprinting, right? I mean, you can do that if you've trained for that. But what you need to be consistent, and your activity needs to be consistent. Whether that's on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. Just be consistent, and then the more time you can put into that consistency, then you can really start to see the results.
So we took the road right up to the top of Mount Fuji, like straight up the slope. But you can go. There's different pathways to the top. You don't have to just take one way.
Yeah, and everyone's journey is different, right? Because in resources and timing and relationships and who's in your Rolodex, who's in your who do you know that can is an influencer, right? I mean, everybody's story is different, and I think yours is so inspirational, Greg. And thank you so much for sharing it with us. But I think it's also, I don't want people to think like that's the way it should happen for me. And we all have our own stories. We all have our own moments of climbing Mount Fuji, even though it might be little mount in the backyard kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And where everyone can be a success. It's not that we have a measuring bar in an income level or anything like that. It's like everyone has their own level of success, and they define it by who they are. But it's stories like yours, Greg, that I think that just truly just inspire people to get out of their comfort zone and go build and do what they need to do to be successful. And not give up, not quit, man. I think that's one of the big things that, I know we've talked in the past. There's moments that like you said, even today, man, we were like, are we really doing what we're supposed to be doing? Is this worth it? And I guarantee you, building a residual income is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It is worth it. It is like one of the most rewarding things. Helping other people start businesses and build residual income is worth it. Impacting people with your product is worth it. All of those things are worth it. And, you just need to be able to do it on a consistent daily basis. And, for me, sharing this time with you has been just immensely popular. I want to thank you. If you're out there and you're still with us, please mash the thumbs up and the heart button. Just, just mash it and say thanks to Greg for joining us today. Greg, I want to have you back on in the future.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because I know there's more to your story, and we just don't have time to get into it all in one chat. So we're going to try to build this up into, picking that brain of yours, because
Awesome.
you're one of the
Would
most
love to.
successful dudes I know in this industry. And there's secrets and there's things locked away in that big melon of yours that we want to get out to people.
There's stuff in it that you do not want to go near though, Tracy. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Better be careful.
Yeah, this is true. Yes, this is true. So, Greg, I want to once again, thank you so much for getting on with us. I absolutely love it. So appreciate it, buddy.
All right, thanks.
Wow, what a great, what an absolute great day to have Greg on with us, sharing his story, and I hope you got a little bit of what that was all about. If make sure you remember to like us on Leaders Chat Live on Facebook, and for some reason it's not popping up yet. Oh, there it is. And like us at Instagram. Follow us at both places. That way you can always make sure that you know exactly where you're supposed to be and who's working with you and who's going to be on the call and on the chat, all that good information. Once again, if you want to be added to the messenger notifications, go and type in chat in the message box. I got all kinds of stuff going on the screen, and I got to figure out how to get some of the stuff off so you can all read it. But type in chat in the message box below, and the Leaders Chat bot's going to add you to our list, and so we can make sure we can tell you exactly when we go live. So with that, everybody, I am so excited to have another episode of Leaders Chat Live, and I cannot wait for the next one. Have a great day.